Greetings, everybody. I'm Scott Rodell here at the Great River Taoist Center, home to our Academy of Chinese Swordsmanship. This is episode 2 of my flying dagger or Feijian training, if you will. Really, this you could say is step 2. Please, if you haven't seen the first episode, go back and have a look at that because I think things will make more sense if you do, because this is really all about how I am polishing up my skills. I haven't thrown for a while. I'm getting back into it. And what I'm really looking to do is develop skills, Feijian knife throwing skills, Chinese knife throwing skills, that I can put together with my Jianfa, with my regular swordsmanship. But before we jump in, let me give you a tip, pass on something I think any knife throwing pro would tell you, and that is, when you're throwing, you're often going to bounce it. We all do that when we're beginning, but how to know what's going on. If your knife is hitting tip up, boom, get that clang and it bounces off, so then you are under rotating. That means you're releasing too soon. I think more commonly, certainly for myself, I find that I'm over rotating, and instead of hitting tip down or maybe hitting in flat, get that horrible clang and it falls down, terrible sound, bang, and then, you gotta pick them up. You get a lot of stretching in the beginning because they keep going down and picking up the knives. When that's coming in, bang, that's because you're over rotating. I find at this point in my training, I really got to work on, proper release, good skills, as anybody should. Anytime you're starting off with a new martial art or really want to refine skills, I think everybody understands that slow and smooth is where you got to start. If you can't do it slow, there's a certain minimum speed, but I'm not trying to put a lot of power into this yet. And the times when I do put maybe a bit more than I'm really ready to throw into it, that's when I tend to over rotate. So start close. If you're new to this, start close, bing, and then slowly move back, get that timing of that release nailed down. And I think then power comes along very easily and quickly. Curiously, though, in one Ming Dynasty manual that shows the knife throwing with the two-handed saber, the Dandao, this is the Dadao Feijian. In that manual, it talks about, doesn't really matter if you hit him or what you hit him with. The whole idea, of course, just to get him to move to make that opening. So in some ways, we want to learn to really stick it, but it's much more satisfying when you stick it, obviously. But here I over-rotated slightly. If it comes in and it hits him any old way or gets him to dodge, that's what we want. The other thing to keep in mind, just in general, I think everybody, this is a little bit dangerous, especially when it bounces back at you. I would definitely do this with shoes on. I mentioned in the previous video, the first episode, that I wouldn't normally recommend doing this inside unless you have a lot of padding around. Still winter here, a bit chilly outside to be doing this. And plus, honestly, I got all the lights and everything here, so it's very easy to do it here. It's good setup, but I would, in general, say it's better to do this outside, and I'm looking forward to moving outside. That's probably when I'll put a lot more power into it. But anyway, let's take a look at context, what I'm really doing here. This first throw that we looked at, by the way, it's in Mandarin, this is a jian and this is a jian. Usually have another word to qualify it. This is often called a changjian or a peijian, so a long sword, pei meaning waist, so from when you hang from your waist. This is a feijian, a flying jian. Fei simply means flying or to fly. So feijian, changjian, if it's got two edges, regardless of the length, it's a jian. Here you see, this is how I'm thinking about using it. It's why not going for big distance. Maybe in the future, when I get a little better at it, I may try to throw from 10 meters out or something, but that's not really where I'm going with this, because I want to integrate this throwing skill here with a draw and a cut. A little bit over rotation there again. So here, that's why I want to be 3-4 paces, depends how long your pace is and how vigorous you are, from my target. Because as soon as I throw, Beifang is going to move, right? He's going to try to dodge that one way or another, maybe simply turn. And I want to take advantage of any way that I've upset his structure with a quick draw. It may be also moving away, but I want to be at that kind of sweet distance where I can close and take advantage, or I can still get away. If I'm really far away and I throw and he dodges it, then I've lost my weapon. I've thrown a weapon away. So I want to be at this kind of distance, 3 to 4 paces. I'm at about 3 paces, kind of a good long step is about right. Last time we looked at this overhand throw, straight in here from here. Some people have said, well, we're combining this, with our Genfa. Maybe you want to have a surprise throw, and definitely do. I want to look at that in a moment. But there could be scenarios where I have several assailants. Maybe this guy's the closest one, and I want to deal with him. But there's another guy, say over here, who is, if I go after this guy's a little bit close, maybe he's going to get me. So I'm going to buy myself a little time here. I'm going to throw, stick it in him, and then I can go after this guy over here. So that's, it's more obvious what I'm going to do there, but that may be good. That may be useful for that as well. Another way that we could throw is ones that come a little bit of a surprise from here or there, get a kind of broken rhythm. So let's first take a look at kind of an overall catalog of the throws we're going to start with. First things are, and I'm going to get throwing with my left, but starting off with throwing from the right, I'm going to be here. So we have this overhand throw 1. I'm going to be the other way around, overhand throw here. So if I'm towards you, it could be this way. Once I've thrown that, boom, I can get my sword. I'm going to throw this way. I can draw that right out of my belt and throw that, come back and grab my sword and draw. That's the one we're going to look at today. Could also come from behind, and we're going to have these underhand throws coming up from behind. I like that nice sneaky one. And then same thing here. I can throw up here and come back. So either one of these, I could throw from underneath and come and get my thing. So that's our first group of throws that I'm working on. As I said, I don't mean to present myself as an expert on this. This is my process. I'm slowly improving myself, and I'm still sometimes bouncing it, which is terrible. I hate the sound of the knife when it clangs like that. So we worked on this one. Took a quick of that. I'm going to come here. Those people who, let me set my other sword down here. Those people who are familiar with Genfa will know this is like a P cut. I'm going to turn my waist, release, let it slide using that same thumb on the back of right there on the back of the hilt, right on the grip, and then slide out. So that's coming down. So I threw this way overhand. Now we're going to come from the inside and throw there. By the way, some people, I think it's a convenient name, some people like to call this a saber grip because in European saber, military saber, I think 19th century sword work, I'm not an expert on military saber, so check me on that, but they like to put the thumb on the back of the grip there like this. And so that's a kind of convenient term for it, saber grip like this. So if I have that saber grip, I can throw over this way, but here I'm going to come from there. And what I'm looking to do is get the Dreifang to do kind of a, hey, what? As I throw that, and it's flying at him, he's seen my hand come from my sword. I have my Gen here in my hand, and the knife is in my belt. As I go here, am I going for my sword, or I'm going for that knife? So I'm going to go for the knife, throw the knife, and then my Dreifang's going to see, hey, well, he did a draw, something's coming at me, but it's not the sword. If I get his brain to kind of hiccup there, have a little glitch, then have that bit of a broken rhythm, boom, 1, then my sword draws and cuts, or maybe I step back to ready position, but I use that throw to upset my Dreifang, take him off his balance a little bit. So here my throw, my number 2 throw is going to be coming up from the inside like this, sliding it on the thumb, same as we did earlier. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Very simple, really. I think once you've nailed this overhand throw, once you've nailed that one, it's not hard to switch up and go to the other side. So from here, once I'm going to come this way, sliding in, boom, and in. And one thing I mentioned last time, I'm going to want to bring up again, that I'm using the same body mechanics that I use in Taiji Chuan. The foundation of my martial training is all this Yangjia, Mi-Chuan, Taiji Chuan. So this way I'm using my body, the way I turn my waist, the way I bring power through my body from the legs, it's all from Taiji Chuan. So I would say here, whether I'm wielding a sword, throwing a knife, it's all that is Taiji Chuan. So here, if you're familiar with it, if you've done a P cut, think about how that works. So I want this to be here. I'm going to draw from my waist, come right over, slide it down the thumb, and right in, right? And you can think about, sometimes you think about it like, boom, you're going to come in and touch the thumb of your target. One thing I mentioned last time that really helps me is keeping my hand up. I noticed this is a problem in our sword work, especially in swordplay. It's terrible. I've seen people do this in tournament even. They're having a bout, they're going at it with their Duifeng, and they cut and they drop their hand and make that big opening. And Duifeng can just get like, boom, just charge in and hit him. No real skill was needed from your Duifeng, but you just handed him a victory because instead of finishing in a ready position, every cut should finish in a ready position. So here, I'm in a ready position. Here, if I threw that overhand, I could easily follow that right around, grab my jian, my long sword, and go, or I could get another knife and throw, right? It's ready. I'm finishing in a ready position. And that keeps things nice and crisp, keeps the body well connected. And I find that this throwing, even though I'm still really not new to it, but I'm repolishing it because I've done it in the past. So I'm polishing, remembering, you could say that keeping this good body mechanics is, I think, helping me to get a new look at my practice, to spruce it up again, to lighten it up. So from here, again, I'm about 3 paces. Remember, what I want to be is close enough is that after I throw, I could draw my sword and hit. Okay, so if we look at that again, I'm going to come from my waist right up and in, key cut, right? And so again, right up and over, turn of the waist, slide it out, hand stays here, then it would come right back from my sword, right? So I'm right there, turn, and stick it, right? Now if we look at that with a sword, think of the distance, because remember, I'm doing this not to develop a long distance throw. I said, maybe, maybe down the line when I get this really good, when I can be 3-4 steps away and I stick it every time with whatever throw I'm using, maybe I'll try going out to 10 paces away and see what I can do. Hopefully not lose my knives. So again, what's the context? What am I looking to do? I want to put together these two arts, the throwing, the Feijian with my regular Jian Fa. Think about the scenario when I would use this. If I'm facing you, I have here, you can't tell which one I'm going to if it's really fast. So I want you to think, oh, he's going for a sword. But what I'm really doing is I'm reaching for my Feijian. And this is the distance I want to be at. That I could still cut my Duifeng. I cut the arm. I could cut moving back. I could draw and just give myself that ready position. But I have that moment when I can jump right in, take advantage of how I might have upset my Duifeng. And by the way, if you're wondering about this art of Chinese sword drawing, I did an entire tutorial for that. And I'll put the link below so you can check that out. You'll see the context of where I'm going with this. So here we are. I'm going to be turning my waist, right? And finishing in a ready position with my hand facing the target. I'm letting it slide along my thumb right in. And again, boom, right there. And there you go. Thank you, everybody. I hope this is interesting. I'm having a good time. Please do subscribe. Hit that bell so you get notifications. And until next time, thanks, everybody, and stay strong.